Dr. Rafa, if you can share with us the link for Facebook Live, please.
Okay, sure.
Chat or WhatsApp?
Okay, I'll share it on the WhatsApp.
دكتور هزاع كأنه سرندر. هاي دخلنا مرة تانية.
دكتور مازن، كيف حالك يا دكتور مازن؟
الحمد لله دكتور أسامة، الله يحفظك. كيف أخبارك؟
والله مشتاقون جدا جدا
الله
والله.
يحفظك. بالأكتر، نحن بنقول بالسوداني بالكستر.
الله يسلمك. يعني
يعطيك
it's an
العافية.
honor to have you with us والله. يعني صراحة
الله يحفظك.
you've been very inspiring at all times يعني.
الله يحفظك يا دكتور، وهذا لا يخفى عليك من mentors like you يا دكتور. الله يحفظك.
الله يسلمك يا رب. الله يسلمك. الله يسلمك.
Dr. Sabrine, the video is live and we started recording. I think we can start, right?
Yes, but please send me the link before. The link of Facebook Live.
دكتور آية، كان لي الشرف والله اتقابل in person for the first time بالإمارات. والله فرصة سعيدة.
الشرف كان لي دكتور، كمان فرصة أسعد. It was really great to have the discussions with you and to meet you in person. I have attended many lectures. It was great also meeting you يعني face to face and to discuss about the IVPN.
الله يسلمك. Thank you دكتور رفا، دكتور شهامة for the efforts. ما شاء الله.
Thank you, Dr. Osama, for always being supportive.
Well, I'm proud of you. شهامة منورة كمان ما شاء الله.
Thank you, doctor, from your support.
يا أهلا وسهلا.
We will start maybe in 1 minute.
I sent you the link, Dr. Sabrine.
Yes. I can start now. I think we don't want to be late in our attendees. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. On behalf of the IVPN Health Tech and Global Health Listservs, I'm so happy to welcome you all for our first health tech event about the role of technology in leveraging healthcare ecosystem. This event is in collaboration with the IVPN Global Health Listserv, led by our amazing Dr. Rafa Al-Khalifa. Also, we are so glad to announce our first collaboration with the Saudi Health Informatics Pharmacists Assembly under the visionary leadership of Dr. Hazza Al-Ghamdi. Hopefully, this will be the start and it will be the beginning of many collaborations in the near future. Our sessions will be moderated by Dr. Amal Bindos. Dr. Amal Bindos is with us, right?
Yes, I'm with you.
Dr. Amal Bindos is a senior healthcare professional with expertise in pharmacy practice, leadership, patient safety, project management, and informatics, including digital transformation, automation, and innovation. Currently, Dr. Amal is the Director of EMR Administration, EPIC, and Clinical Systems Project Director at King Fahad Medical City in Riyadh, the second health cluster. Dr. Amal has a bachelor's degree in pharmacy, a master's degree in healthcare administration, and a higher diploma in health executive leadership healthcare. In addition to several professional certificates, she is a proactive professional who advocates innovation in healthcare delivery and advancement. The floor is yours, Dr. Amal. Please welcome our speakers.
Thank you, Dr. Sabreen. It is my pleasure to be part of this dynamic and promising group, and also to share my experience with all of you in this network. It is my pleasure also to introduce my colleague and in our first event for our newly added network or IVPN Health Tech group. So today we are very fortunate to have with us a distinguished expert in pharmacy informatics, Dr. Hazza Al-Ghamdi. He is the main outpatient pharmacy manager at King Faisal Specialist Hospital and Research Center and the founder of the Saudi Health Informatics Pharmacist Assembly at the Saudi Pharmaceutical Society. Dr. Hazza is a registered pharmacist and holds a master's degree in health informatics, and newly, mashallah, he is graduated with a master in business administration from Prince Mohammed bin Salman College, and congratulations, Dr. Hazza, on this achievement. He is also a PMP certified and ITL certified with a track record of leading projects in e-health and pharmacy automation. Today, inshallah, Dr. Hazza will be discussing the next generation pharmacy, exploring the impact of AI in health informatics and pharmacist roles. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Dr. Hazza Al-Ghamdi. Dr. Hazza.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, Dr. Amal, for the nice introduction, and thank you, Sabrina, and Dr. Osama, and everyone from IVPN Global Health for this opportunity. I believe it's going to be a very fortunate opportunity for both of us from Saudi Health Informatics Pharmacist Assembly and IVPN Global Tech to share this opportunity to start our collaboration and starting to continuously doing events together, inshallah, in the near future. Hopefully this will be only the beginning, and next we'll start to do many future projects together. Today, it's a very, very dear to my heart topic that I will be sharing with you today, which is going to be about AI and its impact on the pharmacy profession and how things will change and how things are already changing nowadays. Let me start by sharing my screen, and hopefully you can see my screen right now.
Yes, Doctor.
Perfect. Just a second. Okay. So as I told you today, I will talk about how pharmacy is going to change in the future and how things are changing currently. So there is the next generation of pharmacy and next generation of pharmacists who's going to graduate nowadays from colleges and start to go to the field of pharmacy. Things are going to be different for them. they need to be prepared for what's going to happen in the near future and what started to happen currently in the pharmacy practice. I will explore with you some points about how AI can impact health informatics and pharmacists' role in the near future, and things gonna be different in the future, as I told you. This is my outline for today. I'll start with artificial intelligence. What's artificial intelligence? And I'll take it from there going forward about the applications that could happen in the near future. I will also pass by a few ethical considerations and implementation challenges that we might face in our current practices nowadays that we need to overcome in the future. And I will give you a case study of some of the success stories that have been implemented currently. Without further ado, talking about AI and artificial intelligence, the discussion is not just something new. It started since the 1950s. Alan Turing, he's the father actually of artificial intelligence and computer science as we know it nowadays. He wrote a seminal in the 1950s, just after World War II, and he started his seminal by saying, I propose to consider the question, can machine think? And then he started to delve deeper in what's the meaning of machine? What's the meaning of thinking? How do we say about something that it's artificial intelligence or not? And then with that, people started to delve deeper and quote this paper and started to apply their own views on how to create artificial intelligence until after 75 years. Now we reach a point where artificial intelligence alone as a statement doesn't mean anything, but it has a lot of meanings. And I try to find the best definition that might be easier for everyone. It's the broad discipline of science of creating computer system capable of performing tasks that normally require human intelligence. And it's not as simple as that. Nowadays, we have so many concepts that derived from artificial intelligence or subsets of artificial intelligence. So from artificial intelligence, we can have machine learning, we can have natural language processing. And from machine learning, there is a lot of deviations. We have supervised learning, unsupervised learning, we have deep learning, and we have reinforced learning. And within deep learning, we have recurrent neural networks, and we have the convolutional neural networks, and we have transfer learning. Usually, I deliver this presentation talking about the different application of AI in pharmaceutical field and a different approach. This is what I usually take it, and the different applications in different sectors or different steps of the drug development journey until administration and even after administration of the medications. But today I tried to do it in a different way, where I started from the technology itself, where I started with the different types of artificial intelligence. And then from each type of those artificial intelligence subsets, I will give you an application in healthcare, and most probably related to pharmacy. With that approach, I hope that it's going to introduce something new to your knowledge about AI, a different perspective of AI than what we just know. And most people understand AI as ChatGPT or different natural language applications. But that's how I try to create this presentation for everyone to be as knowledgeable as possible, at the same time easier to grasp and easier to understand in the same way. Hopefully it's not going to be long and boring, and I'll try my best to cover all of those applications. In general, AI can be applied everywhere, and whenever you understand the way AI works, you can apply it in every different step of process that you do in your daily basis. In applications in health, in pharmacy, we can start from the drug discovery and development. AI is heavily implemented there. Drug repurposing and personalized medicines. pharmacovigilance and drug safety, pharmaceutical research, clinical trials, pharmaceutical supply chain, blockchain-enabled procurement, and hospital pharmacy practice, and every step of the practice, every way that you practice pharmacy in the hospitals, you can implement AI in each step to automate a process to create some value from a step that has been done tediously manually before, and then AI can do it for you and give you even a recommendation based on the data that it has. And even beyond that, from the patient care himself, when he's at home, he's taking his medicine, he's regulating his diet, he's regulating his blood sugar, he's testing everything. AI can be implemented at those steps, also using mobile phones, using wearable devices. So we can apply AI everywhere, every process from the medication, drug development until the administration and the medication use process until beyond administration. AI can implement it everywhere. Today, I tried to take it to you in a different approach, as I told you earlier. So starting from generally, AI is widely used to automate routine tasks, such as data entry in electronic health records. We now have some modules that can be added to the electronic health record that can automatically do the routine tasks for the physicians and the pharmacists. It can populate content for you for the physician and the pharmacist and clinical pharmacist notes that you can write the note easier. The information is going to pop up there directly. It will give you a recommendation about the appropriate coding that you should use to raise the claim for that service that you provided. And it can automate so many processes that used to be tedious in the past, and it's available now in the market. There's some hospitals that started to implement such solutions to make it easier for the healthcare provider to write their notes, and it will cut a huge amount of time for the healthcare provider while he's giving the care for the patient, rather than sitting silently and typing on his computer. Now, the text is going to be there. Most probably he will change one or two sentences, but at least the majority of the contents that he actually needs to write, it's there already for him. And some tools can be implemented to add a microphone or something that can hear the conversation between the patient and the physician, and then start to type it directly and create from it a content for a note. Those technologies are available, but not yet implemented properly in healthcare settings. And there are some challenges that can prevent that from being implemented today, but we can talk about it later at the end of our presentation. Now I'll take it as step by step, going through first machine learning, and then I'll discuss each one of those types and its definition and what does it mean and how can we apply it in our pharmacy practice. So machine learning is a subset of AI focused on algorithms that learn from data and make prediction decisions without being explicitly programmed to do things. So it will just read on previous data and learn from it, and it will give you predictions or give you decisions without you telling them that you should give that decision for us. So machine learning in pharmacy and its algorithm can be going through patient data and identify patterns that predict future medication adherence, or sometimes can help pharmacists tailor interventions for the patient based on their current data. So if the patient on a specific medication for weight loss and then the patient doesn't lose weight with time, an AI can pick up that there is an issue there, either in compliance or the medication is not working properly, and then it will recommend something for the physician without the physician even noticing that, because the patient have polypharmacy and he's not focusing only on weight loss. So such thing can be applied in healthcare currently nowadays. And the way that work is by learning from the patient data and give recommendations and even start to give forecasts for the patient and know if he continues in this diet or this medication this way in the same compliance, he will reach to that point in the near future. Second type of or subsidiary of machine learning is the supervised learning. And supervised learning, it's like training training the module to go and train the module to learn from the patient data and start to learn a few things about the data and create this and direct the patient that this is what I need you to pick up. So, for example, you can teach the data that you should and you should label the data in a way where the AI and the prediction model will work on it in the future. To make it simple, it's used, just an example of the supervised learning, when you use it for diagnostic for some patients. So if A and B and C is symptoms in the patient, that means that he must probably have this diagnosis. And that's a supervised learning. So I educated the module that if specific points recurred in the patient, that means that he will have that diagnosis. And then the model will work by itself and try to detect those points. And whenever it detects it, and it will give a recommendation for the physician that those things that usually occur in a patient with this diagnosis is available in this patient. So I trained the model on that, and it started to work by itself and give recommendation for the physician. The other side is the unsupervised learning. And in the unsupervised learning, we will see that the data was not labeled, and we didn't train the model to create the links by us, but the data, but the model itself started to capture some relevant information and started to capture some patterns. And those patterns, when they occurred in the patient, it will start to give you recommendations. And usually unsupervised learning, as I told you, when you train the model on large amount of data and it's not labeled, and it will create its own links of the data to specific outcome. Most healthcare providers don't prefer it and don't understand it. They want to understand, why did you come up with that recommendation? So we don't see it accepted widely in healthcare, and the opposite of the supervised learning. So that's one of the things that make healthcare providers not adapt unsupervised learning much in healthcare. But we started to know nowadays to healthcare providers started to accept and started to learn the AI concept itself and start to let go of some of the evidence-based, structured way of thinking when it comes to AI, that it doesn't need to be explained. Sometimes the AI can create those links and give you the prediction and give you the recommendation by itself. Now, when we go into predictive models is sometimes supervised, sometimes unsupervised, but in general, predictive models, what it will do is that it will predict, it will use the historical data to make predictions about the future, commonly used in various forecasting applications. So when you have a forecast of the expected utilization of a specific medication in your inventory in the future, and you will have some of applications will forecast the weather, for example. Some applications, but in healthcare, you will forecast what happened during COVID. King Faisal Specialist Hospital, I'm not sure about other hospitals, we created multiple prediction models to forecast the utilization of gloves and masks and gowns and personal protective equipments. So we will not run out of it in the future, so we can plan. So that happened. Also, there is a prediction model that was created also at King Faisal that predicted the expected cases in the future. So we worked a lot in preparing for that outcome. We moved a lot of the wards and we switched them to ICUs, and a lot of work happened due to understanding exactly what do we expect. And those forecasts and prediction models helped us a lot to manage those let's say, unpredicted outcomes that happened in the future. And there is so many ways to test if those prediction models are accurate or not. And each type of model that will have specific, let's say, specific parameters that it will test its accuracy and its recall and a lot of things that I will not bore you with it right now. But in general, those prediction models will give you a prediction forecasting for the future, and then it will help you take decisions and try to prevent some outcomes that are not preferable for you. And sometimes those positive outcomes that the model predicted, you can build on it and try to take it into your advantage. Next, we'll talk about deep learning. And deep learning is also a subset of machine learning, which is using multiple layers and utilizing multiple layers of neural networks. Neural networks, the way that neural networks work is that it's exactly like a neuron. So it will create many layers of decisions, and each decision will be spreading around the multiple nodes. So those things are not explainable. So if we want to explain it by words, we cannot. It's just a way that the models break down the data into specific nodes and decisions and trees and different trees that will be created. It's just like a neuron when it's meeting each other, and then it's unexplainable in words. But at the end, the model will start to create such links and create predictions based on them. And that's why it's called deep learning. It will be learning on the deep level of the data into the bits size, and then from there, it will create the links that will give you the outcome. So even just like unsupervised learning, maybe in unsupervised learning, it will be more acceptable because sometimes you will find the patterns and you will have a label for it that you didn't give to the model, but the model come out with it by itself. Like, for example, it can come out with there is a relation between the size of the feet and how tall is the person, which is common sense, but I didn't give it to the model, and then the model created it by itself because he found the correlation by itself. But in deep learning, you cannot put it into words. It's just about the data itself and how it's arranged in a specific way and which line will align with another node. And then at the end, it will give you the outcome. And it's just going through a small data. So an example of deep learning is it's employed currently in medical imaging to detect abnormalities such as tumors or fractures with a very high accuracy, often surpassing human performance because it goes to those specific historical imaging and its outcome. So he will be the model itself will be learning from previous imaging, and each image will have its own diagnosis, which is the label on it. And then each pixel on that picture will be translated into bits. And then the model will start to learn about how those pixels are arranged, and then the specific arrangement. That means that this X-ray is for lung, this X-ray is for a femur, or whatever is the area that the X-ray is covering. And then it will start to understand if there is a special arrangement in those pixels that's not normal, because it will learn from a huge set of data, and then start to give its own interpretation that this is normal and this X-ray is not normal. And then it will cut so much time for healthcare providers to look through all the normal imaging, and then anything that's not normal, it will flag it for the physician, so the physician will have a second look on this X-ray. And there has been like sayings currently in that the first profession that will die soon with AI, even though I'm not convinced with that statement, is the physicians who read the imaging. and they read radiologies and write radiology reports. I'm not convinced of that, but that's what people are saying now in some conferences and some educational lectures, because you'll still need the physician to proofread whatever the AI generated for you. But that's an application that's been widely used, and there is so many hospitals that started to implement it in their radiology services. And it's amazing, and it saves so much time in writing reports. You can integrate it with the previous AI that write the report for you, and then you don't even need to wait for 5 to 10 minutes that the report of your X-ray or whatever imaging you did will be ready for the physician to see and then give you the results. So that's how AI have been implemented and being implemented currently in different, let's say, part of the healthcare cycles. I will give you now some examples of each one of those deep learning models and how it's also implemented. So I will not bore you with the differences between recurrent and convolutional neural networks, but recurrent neural networks utilizing, it's been utilized in developing dynamic dosing systems where the dosage of the medication is adjusted based on patient ongoing response. So it will detect the response from your history of how you are utilizing your medication, and then it will give you a recommendation that how you should respond to that and how you should respond to that changes in your in the levels of your blood. So we can think of chemotherapy, we can think of gentamicin when you need to have a frequent levels for your gentamicin levels, and then you can adjust the dose based on that. Imagine that there could be an AI that's been used in your hospital that will give the clinical pharmacist directly that recommendation based on the lab results that you're doing. That's one of the ways that we can utilize recurrent neural network. I didn't see it implemented currently, but I can visualize it happening soon, that you can use a recurrent neural network model to predict and to see the levels of your patient and then create recommendation that you should adjust your dose by which level. We have seen it currently in some of the hospitals where they created models that it's just a simple if-then model that will, if that level and those points have been there, just fire an alert for the physician to do certain things. But having an AI that will be implemented that can save some time also, and it will be more accurate. Another example of using AI in pharmacy, a transfer model. The transfer learning in general, it involves taking a pre-trained models and fine-tuning it for a specific use. It's usually taken in if you have a lot of previous models that you have, and then you can transfer that knowledge into a different model. I cannot see, I don't know how to explain it to you in a very simple way, but it's been used in research, in pharmaceutical research. They used it to accelerate the drug discovery process. I told you in the first slide that AI has been used to speed up the process of drug discovery, and they have done it in drug discovery research where they applied pre-trained models on chemical compounds to predict the therapeutic efficacy of those compounds. And that's been one of the ways that drug discovery is happening right now. And in the US FDA, they created an IACT program that program is specially created for anyone who is creating any AI-based technologies, or they used it to in drug discovery, because they did the drug discovery process in a different way than the traditional way, and there is no enough information, or there is no enough pre-requirements that's required to apply for medication when they did this new process. So they created this program for people to apply when they created AI in any creation of technology or new medication or new treatments in the US, and started in 2021, I believe, and then and it's still in the beginning of the pandemic, and there has been a lot of work in biosimilars to create biosimilars using those kind of data and trying to create it in drug discovery, using AI in drug discovery to find the appropriate biosimilars. I'm not sure how we're good in time, but I'll try to move on as fast as I can. Another example is the convolutional neural network, which is a different type of deep learning, but it's usually used in pathology. That's all I can find, that they used it in pathology to identify disease markers and enhance precision. But I didn't find any applications for convolutional neural networks in pharmacy field. So going to the reinforced learning, reinforced learning is a type of machine learning where an algorithm can learn to behave in an environment by performing actions and seeing the results using a system of like reward and penalties. So it will keep testing different things and will see the results and learn from it and do it again in the future in a different way and see the result and then learn from it. So it will keep reinforcing its knowledge and learning different possibilities that could happen from a certain starting point. So we can, you can think of personalized medicine where algorithms can learn the optimum treatment strategy based on continuous feedback from the patient outcomes to maximize the health benefit. So imagine that you can upload the conscious of a person, or nowadays you can have the full genome of the patient in a model, and then start different possible regimens of therapy on that patient in a simulation environment, and then the model will keep trying and reinforcing his knowledge until it will give you back the best option for your patient. So let's say if a patient that's newly diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, rather than starting with diet and exercise, starting with metformin, and then going to steps and steps and steps and a long period of time and money that's been wasted on medication that will not work for that patient, until it will give you directly the right regimen that the patient will respond to. So imagine a way that we can do that in real life and prevent patients from the trial and error. That's what a reinforcement learning model can do, where it keeps trying multiple scenarios and learn from it, and then it will give you the outcome that it's best fit for your patient or your own in your own case. So that's a way of applying reinforced learning in our let's say medication delivery for our patient or pharmaceutical care to our patient. Another example now, which is the most commonly used between everyone in the public, is the natural language processing. And I would thank ChatGPT and OpenAI for that. Natural language processing is, to make it simple, is a branch of AI that helps computers understand and interpret and generate human language, combining computational linguistics with machine learning models. So it will understand different languages, different slangs, and it will understand how people will discuss things with the AI itself, and then give a response based on that. And there is so many applications that can be used through NLP in our practice. So one example is using ChatGPT. And ChatGPT has been utilized as a customer service chatbot for some services, not necessarily in hospitals or healthcare, but in different practices and different professions and different types of services. They linked ChatGPT to a chatbot and trained it to respond in a certain way and do specific actions, and it started to be given to the patients and their customers. So chatbots linked to ChatGPT can, using natural language processes, can be a very good option for our patient, where the patient will ask some side effects of medication, drug interactions, and the usage guidelines for his medications, or simply ask specific information about when is his refill and when his medication delivery will reach to him. So all of those applications for chatbots that's using NLP or ChatGPT has been used now, but I'm not sure that it has been used enough in healthcare and for us, for our daily practice, rather than having a call center for pharmacists full-time to answer some questions, or a drug information office that they will answer physicians' calls. You can have a ChatGPT chatbot as a companion for all the healthcare professionals. And you can even train it in your own guidelines and your own policies and procedures. And then it will give those feedback for your healthcare providers. And then at the second level, you can give it to patients to answer their questions. Last application for ChatGPT, or all of those different ways of different names of AI and different subsets of AI, is to use the technology of GPT, which is generative pre-trained transformer, which came up by which OpenAI created to solve some analytical tasks in health informatics, and you have to go through a huge amount of data for your patients and for your hospital, and whatever data that you have that you need to work on in a specific way and analyze it, you can use the technology itself, the GPT, not only ChatGPT as a ChatGPT. So after going through those different applications and those different subsets of AI, I hope that you can understand now the different types of AI and understand how we can apply AI in those points and look into the future. I believe it's soon enough. We will see all of those in action, and it will transform the way we do and deliver our care to our patients. And it's been done in small scale currently, and there is some applications that have been done already. But in the future, we'll see it in used widely in all hospitals and all healthcare facilities. But with that, we'll have some challenges and considerations that we need to do. Some people will always say we need to protect our privacy, the patient data privacy, and to ensure data security. And then people will be saying, is that data in the beginning owned by the hospital to utilize it in such machine learning training models? And who has the right to use it? And do you need to have consent from the patient so you can utilize that data in your prediction models to create prediction models? And that's the debate that's been hindering the implementation in a way where we don't want those innovations to be suppressed while, but you still need to have your own ethical responsibilities and the applications. I believe I give you some of the applications of the AI in different models, but I want to take you to even a different realm with my last slide. And currently, AI, when it's implemented to some of the other technologies that's available, like virtual reality, augmented reality, we see now some of the videos that a doctor will be wearing the Apple's new goggle for the augmented reality, and he will be doing a surgery while keeping a screen of the of the camera what he can see, but at the same time he can see his colleagues and have discussions with them. And that's happening right now. People are starting to use it. And imagine using that for education and for patient care, and try to educate your patient about their disease using such augmented reality with AI-driven models that will help them realize what they have actually in their body and what's the issue, and taking it to the education where you can see the molecules and understand each molecule, how does it work. And I believe that there is nothing stopping us from doing it from today, but we need to adapt it. We need to create the technology. We need to create those virtual realities or augmented realities for our students, and then spend money to implement it. But it's available, but waiting for someone to just grab it and utilize it in those ways. On the other hand, the simulation and predictive models. There was a hospital that created a whole simulation of the hospital with all its facilities and all of their services. And they keep running simulation on what if we had that influx of patients? What if we had that amount of patients coming to our ER? What if that? So all of those possibilities, when they run it in the simulation and they see the output, they started to tweak some of the parameters. How many staff we will need? What's the outcome? How many? And then they keep adjusting that until they find an answer of what's the best available, best number of staff that we should have if we're expecting that amount of patients. We don't need only to have a prediction model that tell us how many patients we receive. We need to also simulate if we have that number of staff, we'll be able to serve them or not. So having simulation and predictive models together is going to transform the way we deliver our care in our hospitals. And you can apply it everywhere, rather in the supply chain. You can apply it in any other service that will have so many variables that are changing. And you can create prediction models to predict what's going to happen, and then run simulations to adjust some parameters to know how to do those parameters in your daily life. I know that I take more than time, but last presentation slide, which is one of the applications in our hospital, where we created a prediction model that uses reinforced learning also, where we have a prediction of how many scripts that the physician will write on a daily basis. We can see on the left side is it's run weekly, and each week it's tried to reinforce its learning and change the parameters to make sure that it will give the best prediction the next week. So in the beginning of the week, it will give us the prediction on the left side, and then every day it will give us the actual on the right side. And then by the end of the week, it will reinforce its knowledge and it will give us a next prediction for next week by Sunday. So with this model, we can predict how many patients and the influx of the patient, which day of the week we should have more staff in which pharmacy. And that prediction model is actually working in our hospital. In my pharmacy, I utilize it and I use it every week. I see it and make actions based on it. So we started to have such models. And we also implemented a simulation in our hospital where we simulated different tracks. If we use different tracks in pharmacy, if we used only one track, tracks are the way we queue our patients. And that simulation also helped us to understand if we have one track for all a patient, is it better or not with having different tracks for patients who have 1-2 medications as a fast track and a regular track for the others, and which will give the best outcome in our operations. And we are doing it right now. We have utilized it. So it's available and it's there in the market. People start to understand it. People start to grasp it and prepare that they will deal with that on our daily basis. To conclude, I believe AI transformed the role of pharmacy, and there is different application of AI. Some of them has been done in the field. Some of them are only theories, but we have to recognize that there is challenges and consideration before implementing such AIs that's prevented it from being used heavily. We have to solve those issues, and we have to embrace this AI technology that we have and adapt to be prepared to it, starting from the education and then from training and self-learning from ourselves to be prepared for such enhancement in our operation and be understanding how it will impact our daily life. Last slide, I'll finish from where I started with Alan Turing, which is the father of AI. And he have a very famous quote: computer would deserve to be called intelligent if it could deceive a human into believing that it was human. And I believe nowadays we are all deceived with what we see in ChatGPT and others. Thank you very much. And I'm sorry that I took some time from Prof. Mazen after me. And I hope that enjoyed that slides and that it added a little bit to your knowledge. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Hazza, for this informative and very nice presentation. In fact, that we didn't feel that the time flies very fast. And it is also our pleasure to welcome our next speaker. So sorry, Dr. Majid.
السلام عليكم.
دكتور مازن.
مرحب. مازن كله بيمشي. No problem.
يعطيك العافية بروف.
Very sorry, Dr. Mazen, والله.
بالعكس
It took long time.
Not a problem. I enjoyed it. تفضلي دكتور أحمد.
الله يسعدك. It is طبعا our pleasure to introduce our second distinguished speaker for today, Dr. Mazen, Prof. Mazen. He is a health informatics futurist, quantum physicist, startup mentor and coach. He is an inspiring international keynote speaker and a value-based transformation researcher, digital health and deep tech enthusiast and a Web3 ambassador who loves anything about blockchain, metaverse, NFT, nanotechnology, big data, and human transformation. Have worked in healthcare innovation and digital disruption for over 23 years and have lived between Europe, the USA, and the Middle East for over than 45 years. العمر كله, Prof. And today he will share his insight on the impact of disruptive technologies on clinical decision-making in the GCC healthcare system. It is a subject that it is incredibly pertinent in our current healthcare ecosystems. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to Dr. Mazen, Prof. Mazen. It is very nice to have you here and also in our first event. And I'm sure that we will enjoy your speak. So go ahead and start your presentation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm sharing my slides. Let me know if you are able to see my slides.
Yes, it is clear.
ممتاز. Very good. طيب أول حاجة thank you so much. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والسلام عليكم. Good evening, good morning and good afternoon, because I think a lot of people are also logging in from multiple areas, and I'm so happy to have to take part of this. And بالعكس دكتور هزاع, I enjoyed every single second أو split second. عندنا في quantum physics you can even enjoy up to a nanosecond. I enjoyed every nanosecond of your presentation, and it didn't feel like it's long. I could stay just taking notes and learning from you. And this is why I enjoy being in this amazing event. And again, I want to thank my mentor and coach, and one of the people that I follow continuously, Dr. Usama Tabara and his team, his illustrious team of amazing professionals and enthusiasts, specifically the lady who's been helping me and preparing me for this wonderful event. I want to have special thanks for Dr. Sabrin Abu Snena. So I really want to thank the whole team. طيب, I'm ever so grateful, and I think being grateful and continuously learning from the amazing people on hand in this session, specifically Dr. Hazza, Dr. Usama, and the rest of the amazing team, is a privilege that everybody needs to be grateful for and appreciative for. So thank you all for this opportunity to share some of my thoughts. طيب, I want to emphasize, and I want to also applaud Dr. Hazza for giving us an amazing deep dive on AI. And AI is one of the most disruptive areas that has invaded our economy, our global scene, and it's taking us to a whole different level and enabling us to see a number of new dimensions. طيب, while I was sitting with taking notes with during Dr. Hazza, I wanted to understand how big is the pharma industry in terms of size. And I found out that it's by 2023, it was recorded that the pharma industry was recorded to be around $1.5 trillion. In another 5 years or 6 years, the pharma industry will reach $3 trillion. طيب, when I looked at, okay, how much AI is opening up within the pharma industry, I found out that the potential AI business and economic growth within the pharma industry could reach up to 28 or $30 billion. So we're talking $1 trillion economy, which is the pharma industry, and we're talking around sorry, $3 trillion economy. We're talking about $30 billion of economic potential that the AI could have within the pharma industry. طيب, based on this, I prepared a few slides. I'm not gonna take long, inshallah. I'm gonna time myself. I have my timer here. It's around 8 p.m. in Saudi. I'm gonna take around 10 to 15 minutes, just giving you some thought provoking slides. I'm starting with the forces of change that we are seeing around us. Why are we looking at this disruption that is happening in healthcare as an economy? Yani, let me call it the health economy. And within the health economy, you have the multiple players that you can talk about, from pharmacy, community, to the insurance companies, to the hospitals and the healthcare providers, to the pharma and research life sciences industry, all the way to the patient communities, as well as the regulators and the employers that also play a big role. So I concluded that there are 6 vital driving forces in the GCC where we are. Number one, I looked at demographics and climate change. And climate change has become one of the most effective and the most critical element that we are seeing some impact of in the healthcare ecosystem. Demographics, because of the rapid change of population, the movement of population, growth, crisis around us, movement of population and different disease trends following different demographics. It's very important that we also understand that our healthcare ecosystem has to be adaptive and quick and responding to ever-changing crisis, climate changes that are happening continuously. The second driving force is the patient and the healthcare professional experience. One of the biggest issues, and I saw that in across healthcare, the burnout. We have a huge prevalence of a huge disease within healthcare, is mental health and burnout. And that's a huge issue that is happening in healthcare, affecting our healthcare workforce. And pharmacists are suffering from the same. We are lacking pharmacists, we are lacking radiologists, we are lacking, so all the ancillary services, clinical services, all the healthcare providers and your pharmacy ecosystem is suffering because of the healthcare professional experience, specifically burnout or mental health distress due to the overload, as well as the patient experience that is very demanding. Now the patients or our citizens and residents in the GCC are demanding better treatments, better services, and they always compare healthcare with other non-healthcare businesses. And you see this during COVID-19, where we have 2 important critical shifts in our mindsets. Number one, the biggest critical shift in our mindset is that healthcare is never a cost, is an investment, because healthcare is a matter of national security. So no matter what you do, you make sure that your healthcare ecosystem and healthcare industry in every nation is protected and is invested in. So healthcare is a matter of national security. That's the first finding as we come out of COVID, or as we came out of COVID. The second finding, as we came out of COVID, is the rise of convenience. Citizens, residents, and patients are now looking at receiving services from different ways, from the palm, from their hands, from the palm of their hands, from their laptops, from their mobiles. They are looking at quick services. Everybody compares healthcare applications to Talabati or to Uber. They want the Uber of health or the Lapati of health, or they want the latest and greatest that you see around us. For example, hotels without rooms, without buildings, the concepts of using apps to book your stays and your hotel rooms elsewhere, and then the concepts of actually disrupting the way you receive your services. The other part is growing private sector and the demand that you are seeing from the growth that we are seeing from the sovereign wealth funds. What I'm talking about is the disruption that is happening in the healthcare, led by organizations like the Public Investment Fund, Abu Dhabi Investment Authorities, Kuwait Investment Authorities, Qatar Investment Authorities. These investment funds are demanding and pushing the envelope when it comes to disrupting the healthcare economy. And you can see this because lately, in the last month or so, His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince and the Prime Minister of Saudi Arabia, has launched the biotechnology strategy, which allowed us to see a whole different angle for investment and expansion in research that the kingdom is venturing into. We're moving into mental health and tourism, or medical health and tourism. And this is very important because medical tourism or health tourism is a whole new sub economy that comes in, and it allows you to look at things, prescribing across borders, sharing of health data across borders, and whatnot. The concept of care anywhere and how the rise of convenience is shifting the way we are looking at how patients should get their services. We see a lot of demand on home care. We're seeing a lot of demand on telemedicine, the virtual health, and you see the kingdom is leading the way with the implementation of the virtual hospital, and how this is actually expanding the envelope when it comes to disrupting the healthcare ecosystem. And then finally, wellness and well-being. And then on the right-hand side, I've put some thought-provoking ideas from personalized medicine that is going to be mentioned again and again, and the concepts of genomics. And you can see the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia embarking about the genome program, and then the reliance on big data. And AI is great, but it always reminds us that we always have to remember what is the basic step, what is the first step before you reach the development of the AI algorithm. How good is your data? How important and clean, and how cleansed is your data when it comes to the utilization of AI at a later stage? So innovation is help. I mean, these driving forces are disrupting the way we do healthcare across the ecosystem, and in the kingdom and GCC. So if you look at the complex stakeholder map across the different players in the healthcare system, it's very complicated, by the way. And the use cases that were mentioned nicely by Dr. Hazza play a vital role in disrupting one element of this huge ecosystem. The concepts of empowering patients and optimizing operations using the whole different trends that you're seeing on the left hand side is very key to the way we understand the point of AI. And by the way, artificial intelligence could help us leverage all the data we are collecting from the left hand side, where you're looking at mobile apps, telehealth and virtual health, wearables, electronic health records and medical records, robotics assisted surgery, and then the use of AI that brings us use cases across this ecosystem. On the right hand side, I'd like to show you also the fact that you are also seeing that the healthcare industry is a fertile ground for technological advancement, specifically in our GCC region, where we are putting a lot of focus on research and tying that to the technological trends, the artificial intelligence, the big data. And by the way, if you look at the computing power that you currently are using to run your AI models is amazing. The amount of computing power that is being developed by companies like Nvidia, the semiconductor industry has benefited from the mass deployment and this tsunami of use cases in the AI. But wait a minute, that's nothing compared to what quantum computing will bring to your doorstep. If your computer is turned into quantum computing, you are looking at 1,000 times more efficient computing power, at least, to say the least. The humongous potential of quantum computing, when you look at the of AI, rollout of AI, is unfathom or unbelievable. And then finally, we always have to bring it down to to reality. What are we trying to do? We're trying to improve outcome, enhance efficiency, and reduce cost. Healthcare is one of the costliest industries in the world. The amount of expenditure in healthcare exceeds beyond $8 trillion. The US alone spends half of that. And 25% of that to 30% goes to waste, by the way. And pharmacy is an important vehicle in healthcare that you can look at reducing waste and optimizing performance when it comes to cost cutting and enhancing of efficiency. And that's why the potential of AI, as explained by Dr. Hazza, is phenomenal. But let me also take you to the area of sustainability. Healthcare is one of the biggest producing carbon footprints in an economy. On average, healthcare produces around 4 to 5% carbon footprint in any economy. On average, if you look at Holland, one of the most advanced healthcare systems, their carbon footprint in their healthcare system exceeds 8%. And guess what? Where is most of that 8% coming from? It comes from the operating rooms, from the most intensive area of your hospital. Your OR produces almost 30% of the carbon footprint in on average in a facility, even though your operating room is your most profitable department, right? 60 to 70% of your profit in a hospital comes from your operating room. So the concept of sustainability and the use of AI and the role of pharmacy to help in the sustainability and the Green Deal is very important. So if I look at a publication that came out called Switching on the Lights, it's a white paper that has been published, and I've put on the name of the white paper at the top right there. It looks at the digital maturity across the different countries from Western Europe to Central and Eastern Europe, as well as Middle East, Africa, and Asia. But I want you to focus on the concepts and how that this graph shows you in compare on your x-axis you have the GDP as per 2020 in US dollars, and then you have a scoring mechanism that has been developed up to the maximum of 5, but this scoring mechanism is based on 12 parameters. And the research that has been done and the interviews that have been done has given us some sort of a conceptual understanding of how important it is to drive the digital health maturity in order to bring in more AI and more trending technologies into your ecosystem. And this is very key, by the way, because on the right hand side, I showed you the importance of the investments that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is doing in the healthcare sector is humongous. Billions and billions of dollars that has been put in. The insurance world in the healthcare ecosystem in Saudi Arabia has been growing at least with 22% growth per year, per annum. Again, and the primary driver for the disruption in healthcare is also the footprint of your insurance mandate. And then finally, the importance of all the different digital transformation initiatives that are administered by the Health Sector Transformation Plan in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. If I take you also through some of the parameters that have been published in this white paper, we're looking at 12 different parameters divided by 3 different categories: initiatives, infrastructure, and implementation. And these initiatives, infrastructure implementation categories are then they hone down on the different parameters that go from policy funding all the way to the omics, the genomics and the proteomics and the interoperability needs that are happening within your ecosystem, the data standards, and then finally, how much implementation have you seen within your ecosystem when it comes to the virtual tools, the telehealth, the artificial intelligence, and whatnot. Don't forget that those parameters are somewhat are giving us an understanding of how this graph would actually come to life. And this is very key because it differs from one country to another. On the right hand side, I've also put some important aspects when it comes to the rise of the biotech and genomics in Saudi Arabia, and also the presence and the existence of the largest virtual hospital that has pushed our boundaries within the kingdom. And that's why, if I look at the health system and some of the common challenges across within the GCC ecosystem or beyond the GCC geography, I look at the same set of challenges, whether it's due to the interoperability or data governance, which is again another huge pressure point that we need to look at, the accessibility and affordability of healthcare, and this is one of the biggest challenges we see in geographically dispersed countries like the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And growing populations, Saudi and Egypt are heavily populated, and these populations are growing annually. And then you come on to the inconsistency in quality and service delivery. Don't forget, one of your biggest headache is the lack of workforce that you have. You're not graduating enough, you're not importing enough workforce, and when you bring in those workforce professionals, you are actually subjugating them to a huge overload of work, which can compromise your workforce, and hence, your workforce becomes subject to mental distress and burnout. And how do you deal with that? And what's the role of AI? And this is humongous. And then finally, the financial and economical sustainability of your models, whether it's in the pharmacies or the enterprise facility that you are representing, and how are you functioning within your data decision mechanism? How are you looking at your clinical decision support systems? When you look at an enterprise roadmap and the digital maturity within a facility, you start most of the journeys that has happened within the Saudi health ecosystem or the GCC health ecosystem in the last 20 to 30 years always began with implementing electronic medical record, radiology information systems, pharmacy information systems, laboratory information systems, and then you keep adding those Lego pieces as you complicate the image and the landscape of your digital ecosystem within your enterprise. If you go through those different phases, it's very important to understand what are we trying to achieve, and where are we going with this huge digital distress and digital focus as we go through the different phases. Because as we go into more complex digital solutions, the use of AI becomes an added complexity when you come into the digital therapeutics and the deep tech, as well as when you come into the Internet of Things. In the in the Kingdom of Saudi, you look at how the clusters are actually aiming to achieve what we call the accountable care organization model, and this is where the value-based care model is actually aiming to bring us to, is moving from the volume-based health system or the sick care system into the healthcare value-based system, where you look at a more patient centric, or I call it convenience centric, because now you need to remember your patients are always looking for their convenience. You're looking at integrated and accountable care model where you push your care, your most expensive care, from your tertiary and secondary into your primary level care. And then you start looking at your financial sustainability. And you now have an added complexity to this by adding the ESG model targets that you have to abide by, the environmental sustainability and governance KPIs and targets that you have to bring your facility or your pharmacy department to adhere to, as well as betterment of the experience of care, whether it's for the patient or the workforce, because you are tackling both things, right? A lot of no shows, but at the same time, you might need also to look at your burnout productivity. So this is why the image and the goal of your journey is very important. What are you trying to achieve? If you look at a health system and how complicated it is when it comes to a digital health roadmap, and I want to shock you with this slide because it can get very complicated when you look at it from a national perspective. When you look at a digital agenda of a nation like the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, if you look at the health sector transformation plan, and the complexity that can bring to the health ecosystem is humongous. It's huge. So when you try and look at this and all the different data points that you need to think about, whether it's Nafis, whether it's all the different apps that have been implemented, or Ayinati, for example, the movement of the lab samples and how you track that, or the Wasfati program in NEPCO, you are able to see the amount of data that you're unleashing from the implementation of this solution is beyond capacity, beyond the capacity of a single entity or a single facility. So you have to keep an eye on your health infrastructure. You need to keep an eye not just on the physical infrastructure, but you also need to look at the competency and the capability. I was reading a report just before this session that was published by Microsoft and LinkedIn in March this year, and they were talking about 78 to 80% of the employers now are looking for employees that have some AI capability. They also said that according to their survey, 75% and above actually of the employees that come to work will come with their own AI tools into the workspace. They're not waiting for the companies to put guidance or guidelines or compliance rules for the use of AI. Employees are already using AI tools from their personal portal. How does this look at from your pharmacy department point of view, or from your enterprise and hospital group point of view? This is very important as you look at the national perspective of how you implement and adopt digital health, and how does AI and generative AI need to be incorporated into this. And one of the biggest also headaches you will have in a facility or an enterprise or a hospital a hospital group is basically the different touch points, the different applications and platforms that you have to implement, whether it's at the pharmacy level or at the, for example, the at the clinical level, or the laboratory or the ancillary services level, or even at the intelligent buildings level, or the what we call the asset management level. Again, the complexity of the health systems within a healthcare provider facility is demanding, and it has to be it has to be catered for when you look at implementing your AI tools and what you are trying to achieve with that. So, in conclusion, and I wanted to end with this slide in conclusion, because this concluding slide will just show you how the healthcare interaction map would look like. And by the way, this link at the bottom will show you this amazing publication that shows you the complexity of all the different data points that would happen between the different stakeholders, whether it's from care providers to payers, where the patient is at the middle. And look at the over digital burden that you place on the patients in the middle of your stakeholder map. This shows us the importance of implementing certain disruptive technologies, and definitely AI is on the top of it, as has been explained and beautifully displayed by Dr. Hazza. There is also the use of Internet of Medical Things, and the concepts of medical devices and apps and wearables that could allow you to and sensors that could allow you to generate and collect more data, and as well as the revival of blockchain technology. And then finally, ending up with the virtual and augmented reality and how this is going to disrupt the way we look at healthcare. Don't forget, quantum computing is going to be coming soon, and this will multiply the current picture that you have of the technology by 1,000 or 100,000 times when it comes to the humongous economies that will be unlocked with the use of quantum computing and nanotechnology. So this is my concluding slide, just to excite you and give you a bit of thought-provoking, head-scratching ideas that we can connect. And I'd love to continue the discussion with this beautiful community and connect with you as well to see how we can take this further and apply it on the on your operational workflow. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prof. Mazen. This really was a great discussion and a great introduction to our health eco. A great also description about what we are looking for or waiting for in our Gulf countries. It is really it were very insightful, and definitely we need to contact with you because you've been highlighted a lot of things that concerning our healthcare system in Saudi or even in Gulf. Very nice presentation. We really thankful on behalf of our attendees or even in Facebook Live for bring everything up to speed for what we need to know about our healthcare systems reforms that it is expected on a level of Gulf countries. So really thankful. So we are now about to answer questions from our attendees. But before, I would really like to have Dr. Hazza, one recommendation, last recommendation from his presentation, and also Prof. Mazen, one recommendation from your side as well, so that to have as a take-home messages from you to our attendees in this session.
Go ahead first, Dr. Mazen. Since you just finished, you're still in the zone, so you can give your recommendation and I'll follow you.
Wow. My recommendation to your community, Dr. Amal, and thank you, Dr. Hazza, for this honor to put me forward. To be honest, number one recommendation is the continuous curiosity. The field is so deep, and again, I talk to a community of pharmacists, clinical pharmacists, people who have clinical background, and healthcare is a complex field. And now you add AI on top of it and the concepts of data and this humongous amount of digitalization that is happening. My recommendation is the continuous aspiration or the continuous inspiration to always learn and get to see how you can apply it, right? So learn quick, apply it quick, and unlearn. You have to pick up skills so quickly, and you have to pick up concepts, and you try to implement it within your work space or within your personal research, let's say, aspirations. I think the continuous curiosity, being a long life student, is a blessing, and I would like you to put it to the test.
Thank you, Prof. Mazen. I cannot agree more to what you just mentioned. We have to keep preparing ourselves to that disruptive technology and other disruptive technologies that are going to happen and are introduced to our work life on a daily basis. I really like the information you shared that people are starting to bring their own AI to work, and I've seen it myself. Sometimes just the simple, small things will matter, will have an impact. You don't need to have a complicated model that will get prediction and it will create so many things for you for the future. A simple use of a simple tool that are available now in everyone's hand, and utilizing it the best way possible and keeping an eye on all of the considerations that you should consider, sharing patient data, sharing other points that shouldn't be shared in such platform, and keeping an eye on educating yourself, continuous education. At the same time, you should have an eye to find gaps and find places where there is a potential you can implement something. There is a potential that I can enhance something. and keeping that eye always vigilant and thinking about the different things that you can bring to the table and you can add to your work life. That's going to differentiate you from others, and that's going to make you ready for the workforce and to work on a daily basis in a different way that will make you distinguish yourself among others. And then that's how people should think and continue to think in the future, especially with rolling out of those technologies in many hospitals now. I totally agree with what you mentioned, Prof. Mazen, about we still have a huge road to take when it comes to preparing our healthcare facilities to utilize AI. Starting from, there are some hospitals that are still in the kingdom that are using paperwork. They don't have even an electronic medical record. And there is some places that have electronic medical records but are not utilized properly. And we have places that are utilized properly, but there is some issues with the data storage and the way that they store the data, and they type their reports and they tap. So there is a long way to go, and we have to prepare ourselves from now to create the environment, to create that interoperability standards that needed to be available in each institution to reach that level where we are prepared to implement AI and implement such models. I was really privileged to be working at King Faisal Specialist Hospital, where it's one of the most advanced hospitals in the whole region when it comes to adapting technology and implementing such technologies and reaching a point where we are ready within our hospital to utilize AI in our facility, where we have that maturity of of our digital transformation reached to a maturity level where we can adapt to AI. But we have to also consider the other part where they're still preparing and they're still needing to grow. And our hope is in the future generation who are from their starting point in the practice and still within their education, they learn about AI and they start to have that curiosity look and the curiosity eye and a vigilant eye to find ways to improve and then prepare their workplaces to adopting those technologies and adopting AI. So that's what I would really encourage everyone.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I cannot say more than this. I'm happy that I did not receive any question that's saying that all those technologies would replace pharmacists. So I'm so satisfied so far. We had some question from our attendees. One question about that. This is for Dr. Hazza. If AI-powered technologies enhance drug discovery and development process, and I think you answered this. If you have any comment on this question, more than what you mentioned in your presentation.
I believe I shared it in my slide that there has been some work in drug discovery about using AI to find the appropriate proteins in an appropriate sequence and an appropriate, let's say, using nanotechnology now also to create the right molecules to attach to specific proteins. And there has been a huge let's say advancement in that area when I believe Google launched their model that can 3D show the folding of proteins in the last few years. And from that, they started to create some biosimilars and some some molecules that can attach to those proteins. And using AI in that area has been a huge transformation in drug discovery. So, and even repurposing of medications. So there has been some studies that they're looking at the molecules of some medication that are already in the market and try to find the repurposing for those medications in different applications. And if that's used in those applications, what's going to be the outcome? So the work on drug discovery, repurposing, pharmacogenomics, and is huge. And using AI in those, let's say, applications is huge.
Yeah, I have too many questions for you, Dr. Hazza, but I guess majority of them are answered during your presentation, like regulatory challenges and consideration for implementing AI technologies, and how pharmacists contribute to the development and validation of AI algorithm used in healthcare. Another question about how will the collaboration between pharmacists, data scientists, and IT professionals involve with the growing use of AI in health informatics, and what new interdisciplinary role might emerge for pharmacists in the context of AI-driven healthcare environment. And also another question about what are emerging trends in AI that are likely to impact the future role for pharmacists in health informatics. I think also you answered this as well. And I guess there will be the new release paper for AI in pharmacy practice that we have worked on, and it will be released soon, and will answer majority of your concern about AI in pharmacy practice. Another question, how can AI in health informatics be made cost-effective and accessible to pharmacies all size, especially in underserved area?
It's
This
been
is
a
for
those are a lot of questions, and I'll try to answer them as much as I can. I discussed about some programs that has been launched by the US FDA, which is the iAct program, that helped those application of such medications that didn't go through the traditional way and went through the, let's say, utilizing AI to in drug discovery. Also, there is the other part which is related to the role of pharmacists and how it can, if there is any interdisciplinary teams and interdisciplinary roles. I believe health informatics is the solution for that. Health informaticians, especially pharmacists, they come from a background of both pharmacy, where they know all about the practice, and they have their own speciality in health informatics, where they can speak both languages. And most of the health informaticians in their educations or their certification, they've gone through so many educational, let's say, experiences to qualify them to be, I'm not going to say data scientists, but they understand data science very well. And they understand how data scientists do their work. And I remember in my master's, most of my colleagues, including me, we created our own prediction models in specific applications. So in my master's, I created a prediction model to predict the readmission of patients when they were discharged with a specific disease, especially if they are going to be readmitted or not. So such applications, some of my colleagues, they predicted no-show, like Dr. Mazen mentioned about no-show, that it's a burden for the healthcare institution where they allocate resources and the patient doesn't come, and that will create a lot of waste of resources and time and other things. So those applications, when it comes from people from the healthcare with a master's in health informatics or specialization in health informatics, they will collect the dots and they will speak both languages. They will translate as a business analyst. He will work as a business analyst first, and then as a system analyst, he will talk to others, and then he will speak both languages and link the gap between healthcare professionals and the IT department in general, or the people who will create those models.
Yeah, exactly. Prof. Mazen,
Absolutely. I would love to just add to Dr. Hazai. And for example, one of the most mature regulations in AI has come out of Europe only recently. It's called the Europe AI Act, مثلا. There's a lot of data governance and data privacy requirements, ethical prohibitions, you name it. Red linings, flags that needs to be cleared and clarified for obviously the AI development community, but as well as the AI practice communities, whether it's in healthcare industry or other industries. So this is again one of the most mature AI regulation that has gone out. Saudi Arabia, if you look at the KSA National AI Strategy, Sadaya has done quite a good job to try and put in a Saudi Data and Artificial Intelligence Authority, and they are putting a lot of grants and research. By the way, AI is a huge technology. It's an amazing technology, but for an economy to make use of the AI technology, you need research. You need a sandbox and regulation, because your AI regulatory frameworks would be changing continuously, specifically in a very heavily regulated industry like healthcare. And you guys could attest to this because of your background, your current day-to-day jobs and whatnot. The clinical governance and clinical guidelines that needs to be adhered to is phenomenal. The last one I want to bring to your attention is SFDA. Saudi FDA is doing quite a tremendous amount of work in the area of trying to find some regulatory middle ground with AI. So you don't want to stifle research or progression or innovation, but you at the same time you don't want to have it opened up completely. And again, SFDA has launched some great work in the area, and I think yet to be released for obviously the regulation of AI platforms are within the healthcare perspective, just like the US FDA that has also done some work there. But I think these are some important aspects to keep in mind as you come into the regulation of AI, ethical AI, responsible AI. We had a workshop 2 days ago in Riyadh with Walter Kluwers, one of the biggest innovators in the drug innovation digitization space, right? Drug registry and whatnot. But again, you look at how much research they're trying to put in when it comes to the use of AI and how they can actually build their database and move it into an AI-enabled platform to try and facilitate the decision making and the clinical decision making when it comes to drug interactions and using clinical pathways and guidelines based on the huge research that you have. And that's why I like the question about drug discovery and the answer that was given by Dr. Hazza. Drug discovery is huge. There's a lot of very good potential capabilities, the use of quantum nanotechnology and biosimilars, for example. There is a lot of uncovering of these great potential areas, but don't forget the regulation, the guidelines, and the clinical governance part.
Yeah, I agree with you, Doctor. And we have Lilias. She said that in Silico Medica is an example for AI in drug discovery. There are a lot of companies working in this field. Moving to other question we received, majority of them been answered during the presentation. So I will ask kindly the attendee, the one who asked those questions. You can direct your question after this session to the speaker. They will answer you if your answer is not, or your question not been answered, or you still have some query regarding what you asked for. Another question about if the kingdom advancing in using AI in healthcare, it is with the same speed as other region of the world, or are we really far behind, but we are catching up in a higher speed? I will answer this shortly, and also I will have your comment. Prof. Mazen show you the same framework that the kingdom is working accordingly, which is the framework of digital transformation. It is in phases. And as Doctor said, it is very complicated. That's why we have a very clear milestone to achieve this in a very timely manner and controlling any factors that could affect this process. Knowing that also SEDAIA role in this for adopting and approving the policy, it is under process for the healthcare, AI in healthcare. And I don't know, Prof. Mazen, if you have anything to add in this.
Absolutely. I think the kingdom is leading a lot of the global initiatives when it comes to AI. Again, we are in the kingdom setting a role model to see for collaboration, and this is very evident if you look at some of the initiatives that came out in last week. We had the biggest UK KSA trade mission in the history of both countries happen in Riyadh last week. Okay, some of the initiatives, the amount of investment that were released just for the use of AI in multiple industries is incredible. I believe the amount of focus, and you have been attending number of conferences. One of them is LEAP last March, where His Excellency Mr. Engineer Al Swaha announced incredible amount of investments in data sandboxes across multiple industries. The Ministry of ICT in Saudi Arabia is setting a leading role model to the world on how digital transformation is happening, and AI is at the central focal point of His Excellency, and under the direction and the guidance of His Highness. So I think, without a doubt, the kingdom is taking a huge strides to put the money where their mouth is, and this is very good because the world is gagging for innovative, and you see migration of startups coming into Saudi Arabia. CAXT, King Abdulaziz Center of Science and Technology, is created an amazing ecosystem called the Garage, where they are focusing on the generative AI accelerator program, and this is a world leading program. KAUST is doing a huge amount of effort and innovative work in the area of driving AI implementation across multiple industries. So when you look at healthcare and the different industries that we're competing with within the kingdom in implementing AI, I think we're doing well. As mentioned by Dr. Hazza, King Faisal Specialist Hospital, National Guard Health System, we have King Saud University Medicals. We have a huge research mechanism that is leading the way regionally and competing with the likes of the Harvards and the Stanford when it comes to producing commercialized research. This is very key. The way you put applied research into the practice is by commercializing, the output of your research. And CAX, KAUST, KFSH, KSU are all shining stars in this area.
Yes, I agree with you, Dr. Prof. Mazen, for this ad. Also, I have here another question about the role of pharmacists in AI. There is a paper published by ASHP about the role of pharmacists in AI. You can have a look into this one. And also the Saudi Society for Clinical Pharmacists, they are in process of releasing or publishing a new act in the AI use in pharmacy practice as well. Thank you, Prof. Mazen. Thank you, Dr. Hazza. Last question, if we receive it in the chat, that if there is any one who have any idea about AI, where to apply this idea, which company, can we help him or her? I think him, sorry, in the answering this.
Sure. So maybe I give my thoughts in 1 second. We have great vehicles like generative AI accelerator program in CAX. I think that's a great incubator for an AI idea that you can go through the qualification and apply. Council for Health Insurance, they have an amazing program for incubating startups in collaboration with Plug and Play. I would definitely recommend a number of local great incubators in KSA, but I will start with those two, Gaia and Plug and Play CHI one.
Yeah, I agree with you. And also, if there is any hackathons, contest anywhere, if you have participate with them, it is a good startup for you because some of those projects are sponsored. If you did not succeed, at least you have that your idea is reached and you have the chance that people is knowing you, and this would be also a great start for you for your career in this field. So we don't want to have more time. Time is really fly fast. We really enjoyed every nanosecond, as you said, from this speech. As a first webinar for Health Tech Society under the IVPN network, we are really happy and honored to have you both, Dr. Hazza and Prof. Mazen. I think we can conclude, Sabrine. to hear. And yes,
Thank
and my
you so
apology for if I didn't answer every question, but it's covered in the presentation. So don't forget to write your feedback to get your certificate. Sabrine, the
Yeah,
floor.
they can contact also the speakers or contact us for any further questions after this session. Thank you, Dr. Amal. Thank you, Dr. Hazza. Thank you, Dr. Mazen. It was a pleasure meeting you all and learning this huge amount of information about AI in healthcare. Also, we would like to thank our attendees. Apologies for making it long for you. Please, we will share with you, or it's already shared in the chat, the survey. Once you fill the survey, you will have your certificates. Thank you so much. Good evening, all. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
عافية. مع
السلام
السلامة.
عليكم. شكرا.
مع السلامة، يعطيكم العافية.
شكرا. الله يحفظك.